Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Hey, welcome to our little show. Listen, this is not a loaded question, and you have to step back for a second and take in all the consequences, but it did happen. And so it leaves the rest of us asking the question for $1 million. I'm not kidding, $1 million. Would you streak in front of the President of the United States? Now, I'm guessing that half of you screamed out loud, of course. The rest of you, take a step back and think about it. There are some consequences, but it is a real deal. And it has happened. Whether or not the guy is collected yet is a good question. It's $1 million to streak. And last time we left streaking, it was about 1975. So it's not that popular. He was fat and not very fast, but yes, he was naked. And yes, he is on our website. Sorry. Some of it is blurred, but his belly is big enough so it doesn't have to be blurred that much. And it's $1 million. And he did it because somebody offered him $1 million to streak in front of the president. You would do it. You would do it. Now, of course, you have to decide at what point do I tuck and roll? When do I throw my arms up? When do you want to quit is the next question, because at some point it does get pretty dangerous in a hurry. But $1 million is $1 million. Will he do jail time? He might. He might. Still, $1 million is $1 million. All right, the phone numbers, you'll need them. 836-0590. That's 836-0590. Toll free is 877-590-KLBJ. Can you listen online? More than likely, yes. Go to 590KLBJ.com. Click on that icon and put your head down. You can do that chat box thing as well. Go to 590KLBJ.com. Click on the OLS chat box, whatever that is. You will see some preppy pictures, and you are in. If you would like to download the show, that's possible. Go to 590KLBJ.com. There's a podcast there, and more than likely it is free. You can also download the show via iTunes, and I'm told on your iPhone as well. And who knows, somewhere, somehow, there could be a phone app out there. Just offering the money, is that a crime? We're in new territory here. It's being reported today, the man who streaked in front of Barack Obama at the president's rally today in Philadelphia will be paid $1 million for his stunt. I guess we can start to ask the question about $1 million. Where else do you streak? I mean, is that for $1 million? Is that the ultimate risk? Okay, now he did have something on his stomach, and it is a round stomach, so it's not hard to miss. He's a 24-year-old guy, and I believe he's a photographer. Is this a photographer of the Associated Press? I'm going to guess you also lose your job. Here you go. It is Alki David is the one who offered the money. He's a billionaire. And he's done this kind of stuff before, never to this extent. But he offered the guy $1 billion. He did it. And I'm guessing so would you. Not that this will matter, but it's the gambling poll of the day. We have a bunch of these coming out, and it's still not going to change anything. Neither of your candidates for governor, that's Rick Perry going on 62 years and Bill White with his big ears and no chance to win. Neither one of them have said yes. Neither one of them have even slightly embraced gambling, unless it's state-sanctioned gambling. But just to show you, it doesn't really matter what the public says. Belo Corp, which is the parent company of KView Television, did a poll. They found that 54% of you favor bringing casino gambling to Texas. Now, I don't care. I think it's a pretty good idea. Where this thing goes sideways for someone like me is that the minute the politicians get involved in it, you'll see something like Louisiana or Alabama. They get in bad. This is the problem. This is the problem with Formula One tracks, gambling ideas, marijuana ideas. There's no reason to trust that market forces will make this thing work or not work. There's no reason to trust that it's really about free enterprise because the maggot politicians will get a hold of it. And when they get a hold of it, it'll end up like, what is that bingo casino deal in Alabama where it's corrupt as heck? See, there's no reason, even if we ever get casino gambling, even if 54% of you get your wish, there's no reason to trust it because the politicians will be involved. Can gambling work in Texas? Well, I'm saying maybe, but the chances are pretty slim because they will get involved in it. And when they do, you have every reason to distrust it. But 54% of you say yes. Bring casino gambling. The Austin Business Journal reports today, and this should tell you some of the reasons why the University of Texas Football Incorporated did not leave the Big 12. Something I hinted at some time ago. Does this mean they'll always be in the Big 12? Maybe. But it's being reported today that Fox Sports is apparently the front runner to be the University of Texas television network. Using the Oprah Winfrey model, and that is owning everything, owning your own content, that's their strategy. That explains some of the reasons why they didn't bolt.
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Phone number is 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. You would do it. You would take the beat down. You would take the handcuffs. For $1 million, you would streak nude in front of the president. You would. Now, I have to admit, I'd want a lot of that money up front. Not sure how that transaction went down. You would do it. All right, 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. It is Patrick. You're on KLBJ.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yes.
Even if you make $100,000 a year, that's a 10-to-1 return. If you spend a year in the can, that's a 10-to-1 return.
Will this guy go to jail? I don't know that he'll go to jail.
I don't know. As long as he doesn't get fined $1 million, that's okay.
Yeah, now that's a very good point. I would make sure that I'm well versed in all of the possibilities. The jailing would be fine. Losing the money would not be so cool.
Anyway, take care. Great show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think now. The guy who paid for it, what crime has he committed here? Look, trying to think of the adult population. What percentage of people would do this? 60? 90% of men. Let's see. What is Battle Cam? He promised to pay out the cash, providing the streaker writes the name of his website, Battle Cam, across his chest. Okay, here's what the guy who's putting up the million says. When I see the video and it's confirmed, it won't be check that he sends. It will be cash. All right. Two guys were involved in this. And there you go. How much he would get paid from this? I guess apparently this guy had a lawyer brokering the deal. It's like that movie. What was the movie with Robert Redford and with Demi Moore? Indecent Proposal. They had a lawyer draw up the papers. Apparently that's what this guy did. He had somebody draw up the documents to make sure he was all taken care of. It's a smart move. It's some webcam system that this billionaire has, and he wants to drive traffic to the site, etc. And yeah, This would be a way to do it. If you were trying to track the impressions, this would do it. No doubt. So 54% of you say yes to casino gambling. That's not enough. It would take 95% of you for it to ever have a chance. And even then, it would be a stretch because your political heroes aren't necessarily about the majority. That's not true at all. They're in the ultimate form of target marketing. They're in their own target audience, giving their own target audience what they want, and the rest of you get left outside of that. You don't matter. So the 54%, even though it's a pretty big number, and it probably isn't that much larger or smaller than it has been in the past, it's not going to put a dent. It's come up dozens of times. In fact, I think there were 10 separate bills proposed involving casino gambling, each one of them, of course, with one of your political heroes getting somebody paying them off. So they're always self-centered. But it's not going to happen. Won't happen at all. By the way, the dates for next year's Austin City Limits Music Festival. Look, I was there all weekend, and I saw the Eagles last night, and they were spectacular. I was blown away by how clear it sounded. First of all, the weather was amazing. And that whole event, for those of you that went and have been in the past, it is amazingly calm, safe, organized. You don't see anything. There's no problem. I think I just read a story. A pedicab was hit by a car. You don't see any problems. People are perfectly nice. It's ridiculously organized. And it's just comfortable. And last night's show was amazing. Amazing. They sound better than ever. The show itself was crystal clear. The light show, I mean, obviously the guys in the Eagles aren't running around doing somersaults or something. So just for those of you who think the entire music festival is about indie rock bands, it's not true at all. In fact, I have a prediction. Funk, 70s funk is coming back. I think some of the best bands that I saw were sort of old school 70s funk bands, and people were just loving it. It's not all indie rock. In fact, it's far from it. I was impressed. It's that I don't know how to explain this. You're walking along, and I listen to hear this funk sounding. Wait a minute, that's kind of cool. That's straight from Soul Train in 1975. But the show last night, they started right at 8, ended right at 10, and those that watched, anybody that knows the Eagles, they could go for 6 hours. But it was, I got to give it to those guys. I just thought, they're older. They're outdoors. There's no way it can be that clear. Just accept it. And it was perfectly clear. It was studio quality last night, I thought. I thought it was. And people of all ages were digging the show. It's just really, you just learn to appreciate what great artists those guys are, even if you're not a huge fan. I don't know how you can't be, an Eagles fan to some extent. But it was amazing. They got it. I mean, they got it down. It's perfectly organized. And the whole event itself, man, you just, mid-October works. I think like a lot of people, your first reaction, you hear mid-September again. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. It was 112 degrees. That would be tough. John, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff, enjoy the show.
Thanks.
I want to confirm about the Eagles last night. They were outstanding.
They were outstanding. They were.
Yeah. And it was a real treat to see Joe Walsh. He was.
Yeah,
he was great.
I was just telling somebody, Joe Walsh played a more prominent role. Now, I haven't seen the Eagles in concert, so maybe they normally do this, but I was surprised.
I don't know.
at the how much of a role he played. How he was he was almost the highlight of the show, wasn't he?
Yeah, because they played a lot of his stuff he did after he'd left, and
right.
Yeah. I didn't even know the guy was still alive. That's why I was shocked. So.
Well, I think most of us had the same attitude. All these guys, Joe Walsh, he's vegetative now. Who knows about Glenn Fry? They fight all the time. And so, I don't know. my expectations weren't that high, but the sound quality was amazing.
Yeah, it was really great. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, that is, if you're looking for your hair on fire, it's not a great place for you. But I tell you what, when it's 75 degrees on a perfect night in Austin and you've had a couple of drinks, that's about as comfortable as you can get. I've never seen 65,000 people be so calm and organized. Well, there's some weed, but there's not as much as most people think. There's really not. You don't see that many people just out of their mind. They're not beating on each other. Bob, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff?
Yes, sir, Bob.
Yes, sir. I didn't get to see him. I was up at the Ranger baseball game yesterday.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's fun, but let me tell you, the Eagles Live from Australia CD, I'm not big on all those things, but I bought one, and I bought other people one. I sent out a lot of gifts. I mean, I like 10 of them. That's the best music I have ever heard. It's just spectacular.
Yeah.
To listen and put it on the big screen. So, anyway,
well, it was in person.
DVD,
it was in person. I mean, just to appreciate a group of guys who can sound that clear, who can go from a country ballad to hard rock back to another. I mean, they can change songs. The whole thing has so much variety. They turn Joe Walsh loose to do some of his stuff. When they play a slow one, then they'd come back with a rock song. I was blown away. I really was.
You know, they're so much better than what the Beach Boys were doing at the last. You know, they just sounded terrible.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've heard that. You know, I mean, we always talk about all these aging rock bands. And I heard the Stones were great too here when they were here. I mean, I heard they were, but you know, we all have to admit. I mean, these groups that you grow up with, and you know so many of the songs, and you think, oh boy, these guys in the early '60s, they're fried. They're not going to have it. And last night they were as sharp and as clear. And I couldn't believe the sound in Zilker Park. The ability to get that kind of sound in Zilker Park, I think was the most amazing thing.
You got me, Jeff. You're a smarter man than I am. That's why I like listening to you.
Well, I wasn't necessarily trying to be.
Making your drive home a little easier. You're listening to Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ. Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Admit it, for $1 million. I think for $1 million, you'd go naked just about anywhere under almost any outcome. I'm not sure if you can pick a situation more dangerous than running or streaking in front of the president, but the guy did it. And the guy that promised $1 million says, I'll pay up. He put his website on his belly, and it's a big belly. In fact, the truth is, you don't have to worry about seeing a whole lot of this guy's nudity because the belly covers most of it up. Yep, and that's just what you want to look at on our website, too. It's all there. And he put the website for the billionaire on his chest. And I don't know legally. I'm not sure what the crime would be, if any, to pay somebody to do this. I mean, you're not technically threatening the president. I mean, that would be a stretch to make that case. You are, you're putting out the money for a stunt, no doubt, probably worthy of some tickets. So assuming you don't get shot, and that's the big question when you're running through there nude and somebody says freeze, you better get down. You better tuck and roll. All right, phone number is 836-0590. That's 836-0590. Toll free 877-590-KLBJ. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. Researchers, this is from MSNBC.com. And somebody made a good explanation why it is that obese women, it costs them twice what it does men. And the guy said it's changing clothes and things like that. Maybe that's it. It's not that far off. George Washington University researchers have found that a man pays $2,646 annually for being obese. Women pay twice that amount, $4,879. By the way, they calculate within this diminished productivity. It also says the overall annual costs of being overweight are $524 for women, $432 for men. They go on to calculate this. When they added the value of life to these costs, the researchers found that obese men pay $6,518, while the cost to women is $8,365. And they even went beyond that. For overweight men, and this is where people are starting to get worked up, that somehow women have been wronged by this, that somehow there's something really terrible and sinister going on out there. In other words, what they found is that for men, there's no real change in the pay scale if you're overweight or obese. With women, obese women make less. Now, you can take that and do with it whatever you want, but that's probably not that far off. Why? In fact, the researchers claim that for overweight men, the trend is reversed. Overweight guys tend to earn more than their skinnier colleagues. Thin guys earn $8,437 less than men of average weight. What's going on around here? The highest pay point on average for a man, 207 pounds. I mean, is this even interesting? If so, what is the application for this? Ultimately, the argument is going to be, well, obviously there's something terrible going on in society, going on in the workforce, in which a guy, the more weight he puts on, the more money he makes, and just the opposite would play for women. The fatter she gets, the less she makes. They don't give an explanation, so have at it. Good luck with it. All right, 836-0590, toll-free 877-590-KLBJ. About the only awful thing coming out of ACL when you have 100,000 people in one place, you'd think sooner or later something goes wrong. Very little. Very little. But a pedicab was hit on Friday night. I'm sorry to hear that. 2 people taken to the hospital with serious injuries. It's amazing it doesn't happen more often. It's amazing. Do you realize at ACL how many bikes are there? There's got to be 2,500 bikes, at least. Chris, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff. I was intending to go to ACL Fest, but I got a virus that's under the weather. But let me ask you this. You were raving about the Eagles concert. Which stage were they playing at? Which side?
It's the side where, as you look over, well, I mean, the stage is so big. It is the backdrop is downtown, so it's kind of the northeast corner of the park, kind of tucked back in that eastern corner, where behind them is downtown Austin. Gotcha.
Now, on that side, my experience has been that stage, as well as I think it was the Heineken stage, or the stage essentially at the opposite end of that field. The sound has always been pretty good at those 2 stages, but as soon as you go to the other side, the 2 big stages that are on the Botanical Garden side, the west side of the park, the sound is horrible. And I mean, I've been in front of the sound mixing tent right there in the middle. I remember seeing Willie, and it was like a transistor radio.
Really?
Oh God! And so I've always thought maybe it's because the sound projects towards the neighborhood.
Well, I mean, it would make sense that I've heard a lot of people complain about the bleeding of the sound, but it's probably only in the stages that you're talking about. So yeah, I could see that.
Oh, but I'm not even talking about bleeding. I mean, that's a fact. You can't get around that. Yeah. If you're one of the singer-songwriters on the stages near Barton Springs, you're hosed. There's no way around that. But I'm talking about the audience is hosed, paying good money. I mean, this is my experience. I'm hoping to hear. I remember seeing Cake in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Perfect spot. And the crowd started chanting, "Turn it up."
Huh.
So I'm just curious if others have found, once again, was this year a year of sound way too low of the park?
I certainly wouldn't say that about the Eagles where that stage was. And I can't remember who it was I saw the night before. They remind me of the Talking Heads, and that sounded good. I walked by the stage where Norah Jones was, and the sound wasn't so great there, but that may be because she's basically a lounge act on a giant stage. So
lounge acts are tough to do.
I'm no pro about this. I mean, I found myself yesterday. These guys, I was digging these guys. Group of about 5 guys, and they are doing old school funk in the place that's indoors. Well, it's not, the sides aren't covered. There's a roof over it, and people were just having a blast. So my take was the sound by and large was good. For the Eagles, it was ridiculously good. I'm not quite getting the Norah Jones thing. I mean, I know she's talented. I know a ton of people want to see her. I walked by. Okay, I went to get a drink. And I thought, I'm going to try. I'm going to try because it just seems like if you're in a bar somewhere, that might be perfect. But there was a pedicab hit. And, I mean, this is not good news. Just telling you, it's amazing it doesn't happen more. I'm amazed on any night in downtown Austin, you don't have a dozen of these things getting picked off. David, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff. First, you are correct. I would do it. Second, how accurate is that?
Is there a minimum? Is there a minimum you would? Is there a cutoff?
Well, no. I mean, I was just saying I would do it for the minimum or for the million.
For the million.
Is there a cutoff? Yeah, probably $1 million.
Okay.
Second, I wanted to say how you're right. How relevant is the correlation between your weight and how much you make? Second, what's the sample there? I mean, you're somewhat of an economist, yes. Right. I mean, in the way you think, right?
Yep.
Well, what's the sample there? I mean, if they got 75 overweight guys and 25, skinny guys, and what is overweight? What is skinny? I mean, is it on an average? Of course, our average is going to be higher than another country, and so. But again, all it comes back to is exactly what is the relevance of that study.
Well, I know what's going to stand out. I mean, it's already starting to happen. In fact, I have this entire study in front of me, and I think the sampling size is pretty large. But why is it you think, assuming this sampling is big enough, that as guys get heavier, they earn more, as women get heavier, they earn less? Because I think that's sort of the net result of all of this. I mean, the whole thing about costs and all that stuff, I don't know about that.
All right.
But it is kind of weird. I mean, I have a theory, but I'm curious what anyone else thinks.
Well, what's yours?
Well, I mean, I think as guys age, they're going to earn more. As guys age, they get fatter. As guys get married and age, they get fatter. And they have less sex, get fatter. Less sex, get fatter. Earn more money, possibly less sex, unless you get remarried, fatter.
And then the women's side, the female side of that?
I'm afraid of that one, David.
Me too, Jeff.
I'm honestly, I'm stuck. I mean, does that sound right for the guys? I mean, I think that's reasonable. It's just not, for a guy, you're going to make more as you age. I'm not sure that's true with women. I mean, I'm pleading some ignorance here, and I think this might be changing, but I suspect as women age, they're earning less. Phone number is 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. The shooting that took place, it was the 16-year-old kid shot coming out of the big box retailer, Big Lots, with his gun pointed at the cops. It's not that surprising that some groups they want access to the video. LULAC, that is the League of United Latin American Citizens. Their spokesperson says, we need the evidence, we need the proof, we need to find out what is reality and what isn't reality. Now, they're not condemning the shooting just yet. Art Acevedo, the chief of police, has already gone public and saying, I wanted the thing released immediately, but it's not up to me. It's up to the district attorney. So it sounds like he's either really, really confident in what that video is going to show, or he might be passing the buck a little bit because he's probably getting some heat. Why hasn't that been released yet? But it has to come out. Has to. We're owed that. Everyone is owed that. And it sounds like, based on what the police are telling everyone, it sounds like it'll be a slam dunk. The guy came out, it was dark, had a hooded sweatshirt on, and pointed a gun at them. That's what the police say. Art Acevedo says the video is going to back this up. Different groups are saying, we need to see the video. We want to see the video. I don't think that's that awful. This whole video thing has been an issue for a number of years. The police chief has come on the show countless times and said, absolutely, it's important. Good. The public would like it. There's nothing wrong with that. He said he's been pushing for its release since the morning of the shooting, but he says it's up to the district attorney to release it. All right, the Austin City Limits Music Festival is set for the middle of September next year. Ugh. Ugh. And Thomas and I are debating this off the air. In fact, if you were sitting around there waiting on the Eagles last night, I found a lot of us sitting around talking about who would be the act next year, because it's pretty obvious they go for these legendary acts on Sunday. You know, tap into Austinites, people who want to buy a one-day ticket to see a band like the Eagles or Pearl Jam that you can't count that you're going to see them too many more times. So it's just a guess, just throwing out an idea, just a guess. I have no insider info whatsoever. Thomas has convinced me, and this is a pretty educated guess, Aerosmith. Now, don't run off and say you heard that who it's going to be. Don't do that. That's not true at all. This is just him barking at me. And I thought, you know what, that makes sense. It fits. It seems to fit. I said Garth Brooks. Carl, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, listen, man, how could a pedicab be in an accident? I mean, all they ever do, I sat there at Lamar and Barton Springs last night. My light turned green, and through the red light came 20 pedicabs full of people running a red light with, by the way, 4 APD cops standing right there not doing anything about it. They run red lights. They're using the center lanes. They don't have lights on them. But how could anybody possibly get hurt on a pedicab? And you know what? The pedicabs with the tow-behind trailers are illegal in the state of Texas. People can't ride in a trailer. But the city of Austin, somebody said, doesn't look cute and international and green, so we've got the city of Austin giving permits out. The people who get hurt in the accidents, the city of Austin is absolutely responsible because, A, these vehicles are unsafe, and B, they get permitted by the city to operate. So you can say that it's unfortunate that people got hurt, and it is. It's just unfortunate the city of Austin allows unsafe, illegal vehicles to transport guests around the city.
Well, I don't know about the illegal part. All I said was it's amazing it doesn't happen more often. From what I understand, what's being reported now, they have to follow the same rule as bicyclists. I think that's right. And they have to go through some sort of special training, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know, you've got some bone to pick with them. That's fine. But I don't know now what happens in terms of the legality. Because I'm not sure, is it reported who exactly was hurt? Was it the driver, the pedicab, or the people riding? Because 2 people were taken to the hospital in serious condition. And this was on Friday night. Law of averages says it's going to happen sooner or later. It's like I said, it's amazing it doesn't happen more often. I mean, that's tribute to the people that go to that music festival, how calm they are. I mean, it's not like it's Woodstock and people are tripping out an acid everywhere. They're perfectly reasonable and calm and for the most part, very sober. Minus a few.
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Phone number is 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. So the researchers have done the work, and they claim that the fatter men get, the more money they earn. The optimum weight and earning power is 207 pounds. Man, I'm in trouble. For women, it goes in just the opposite direction. The more weight women gain, generally speaking, the less they earn. Now, why is that? Sam, you're on KLBJ.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm with you. I can't believe people don't get run over every week in downtown Austin because I've almost got run over by drunks. I think you had a show on this a few years ago about, Joe Sixpack. And Joe Sixpack's not near as dangerous as the drunks leaving the bars in downtown Austin. I mean, I'm surprised this is the first time this has happened.
I am too. And even when people aren't drunk, I'm surprised these pedicabs don't get hit more often. Now the question is, what happens when somebody sues?
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Hour number 2 of our little show. Admit it, you would do it. $1 million was offered to a guy to streak in front of the President of the United States today in Philadelphia at a rally. Not sure how many people were in attendance, but there are a lot of pictures, including one we have on our website, and apparently you really like to see naked fat guys. You really like naked fat guys. In fact, now that I've said naked fat guys, I think the traffic could go up even more. He was offered $1 million to put some website address on his chest, and he did it. He had a lawyer draw up the papers just to make sure he'd get paid. He's a 24-year-old guy. Whether you're 24 or 54, I think a lot of you would do it. You just get slower. You're still going to be naked, and you still make $1 million. Certainly for men, I think, what is the number? 8 out of 10 would do it? No. I don't believe that. I'm going to say 6 out of 10 would say yes. 6 out of 10 would do it. Now, I don't know where you start. I mean, I've got to admit, it's pretty hard to even make it to the point of getting your photo taken. So you better drop your clothes quickly and start sprinting because this is going to end in a hurry. It's not like you're going to be doing the 400-meter hurdles or something. You're not going to last very long. So, and this guy apparently tipped off photographers nearby because that's the whole point of him getting paid $1 million. So they could get a picture of this, which is precisely what the guy that paid him wanted him to do. This is, how do we say this? A chubby male naked billboard. That's what it is. It's a bad-looking billboard for $1 million. And I'm going to stick at this. 6 out of 10 would do it. 6 out of 10 men. I don't know about women. 1 out of 10. I mean, if you look at the history of streaking, women don't run around naked. It's always been either fat guys or really skinny guys that look like they're heroin addicts. And it's usually the British that streak. You know that? They're still streaking. And they look terrible. They'll wear socks or something. So I say 6 out of 10 for adult men. I'm going to guess 1 out of 10 for adult women. Maybe not even that. Just doesn't seem to. Streaking has never really been a female thing. All right, the phone number is 836-0590. That's 836-0590. Toll free 877-590-KLBJ. Can you listen online? More than likely, yes. Go to 590KLBJ.com. Click on that icon and... Don't get that. Put your head down. You can do that chat box thing as well. Go to 590KLBJ.com. Click on the OLS chat box, whatever that is. You will see some preppy pictures and URN. If you would like to download the show, it's possible. Go to 590KLBJ.com. There's a podcast there, and more than likely it is free. You can also download the show via iTunes, and I'm told on your iPhone as well. And who knows, somewhere, somehow, there could be a phone app out there. This is supposed to be a terrible thing. 92% of American children have photos online. This is via sites like Facebook. It's 92%. Admittedly, I don't get it. I don't know why you want everyone to see you and hear you, but you do. Is there some sinister thing going on that 92% of American children, and I believe these are under the age of 5, have pictures online on sites like Facebook? I'm surprised it's not 99%. Nathan, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, so I'm trying to remember, but didn't we pass a law after Goodfellas came out that you can't profit off of the publicity surrounding a criminal event, criminal activity?
Well, I think that's why the guy got a lawyer involved, because is it a stunt or is it a job?
It's criminal activity. I'd be real curious as to exactly what's in that law. I mean, getting a lawyer to say, "Yeah, I'll litigate it for you."
Right. Well,
I mean, that's very different from saying, "Yeah, you're going to win, and by the way, sue me if you lose."
Yeah. Well, that was a question I had: is that can he collect? And number two, the guy that's paying him, and apparently they had an agreement up front, and all the papers drawn up. The guy paying him, does he face some sort of legal punishment?
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
I feel like I need some duct tape to keep my head together from exploding.
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Phone number is 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. The estimates are that the television campaign alone is costing more than to blanket the state of Texas, more than $1 million a week. Those are the estimates. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of Rick Perry, Bill White ads. You're getting them nonstop. So one of the things that's been kind of interesting, because it is about the issues, right, is the strategy, because this is all target marketing. It's my take on it. And where they run the ads, because remember, buying the ads is the science. You're looking for qualified customers. And a couple weeks ago, it was reported that Rick Perry's numbers with women certainly do far better than Republicans normally perform. In fact, some people say, I don't know, I guess time will tell, that Rick Perry could do better with women, percentage-wise, than men. And I asked the question a few weeks ago. John Kelso of the American Statesman wrote a column about it last week. What's the deal? What's going on? Well, just a few minutes ago, Thomas tells me that, because all I can do is watch the stocks. Otherwise, I get all flipped out. I can't watch a show. I cannot take it. But there's a Rick Perry ad. This is a new Rick Perry ad. And this ad is running during Oprah. Is that right? Whatever's on TV right now. It's going to be female related. Once you get past, when you get 4:30 to 5:30, it's people who eat the Luann platter and drink soup for dinner. That's that audience. Then you get into prime time, which is more mass appeal, but still largely female. In television, until there is full nudity, you're not going to have a concentration of men outside of football and NASCAR. Okay? So there's not many places. If you're advertising for men, there are very few places to go because the men are greatly concentrated. And certainly not, we hope, not during the daytime. So this new Rick Perry ad runs during Oprah. Is that what's on right now? All right, around 4:15 in the afternoon. Now what's the issue there? He's in workout gear. Now, is that just by circumstance? They just happened to be shooting a commercial that day, and he just happened to be tying his shoes in workout gear? What's the issue again? What are the issues? So the ad shows him in his, I see the guy at Town Lake a lot. He guy's in good shape. He runs a lot. He deserves credit for that. But why buying time during Oprah? Do you buy time during Oprah and just happen to be wearing workout gear? What's that all about? He's reaching over and he's tying his shoes, his running shoes, and his Asics gear. I don't know if he has to deal with Asics or what, and he's looking in the camera, talking to you women. I know. It's about the issues. Yes. Mm-hmm. And the ad itself is about fitness in children. I see. What policy is that? No, we're against fitness. He's pro-education and pro-fitness. That's it, right, ladies? That's all you need to hear. Done. A guy with some hair and his workout gear during Oprah telling me that my kids need to be fit. What more can there be? So, obviously, he's done a successful job in targeting women and all the important issues, I guess, what gets women to vote. And he's apparently ramped it up even more. Down the home stretch, he's going to make sure he wins the female vote. This is a guy that destroyed 2 women in a primary. Kay Bailey Hutchison had 30%. Deborah Medina had 18%. So he's on to it. He's feeling it. So now he's feeling it so much that he's going to be there talking to you ladies in his workout gear. I know. It's about the issues. So if we put Bill White in the exact same 60 seconds in, I don't know, let's see, what does Bill White wear? He's got big ears. Let's say Bill White's just standing there next to a lake, and he's got some old man shoes and dark socks. He says the exact same things that Rick Perry says. I mean, all we did was just change the look. Everything else about the 60 seconds is precisely the same. Does one do better than the other? Why? I'm willing to bet that Bill White is for education. Why the huge discrepancy? All right, 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. Texans say 54% of you favor bringing casino gambling to the state of Texas. And it has no chance, correct? None. Neither one of the candidates is pushing for it. Neither one of them, I don't even know if either one of them are even mentioning this right now. Even when asked, just stay away from it. What's the point? But if 54% of you are in favor of it, why would it be that the candidates for governor just stay away? How in the world could you avoid something that 54% of the people say they'd be in favor of? Now, I'm not saying 54% of you would go and gamble, but 54% of you said that it's the way to bridge the budget deficit, which may not be true. But neither candidate wants it. Neither candidate wants any part of it. Neither candidate really talks about it much. Never has. State-sanctioned gambling is good enough, right? We'll stop there. Only the state-sanctioned kind. The rest of it, it's out of your control. You couldn't stop yourself. All right, 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. The shooting video, Art Acevedo says he wants it released. He says this is the shooting with the 16-year-old kid, Devin Contreras, coming out of the Big Lot store last week. Art Acevedo has been called out by a few different groups, including LULAC. He said, hey, look, I want the thing released immediately. It's not my call. So apparently we're going to wait until the district attorney says she will release it. LULAC issued a statement. They didn't say the cops necessarily did anything wrong. They just said they want to see the video. That's fine. All right, Nikki, you're on KLBJ.
Hi, Jeff. You did a fantastic job describing that new Rick Perry ad. I have not seen it, but I feel like I have.
Well, he's there, and
I'm about to throw up because your comparison to if Bill White had done the ad, I laughed really hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bill White would have some pasty white legs, some bad shoes, and maybe some man boobs.
Socks. We got to have the dark socks.
Dark socks, absolutely. But if we took and just put the exact, because I'm willing to bet that Bill White's ad doesn't say anything that different from Rick Perry's. He's pro-education, pro-children. So assuming they both say the exact same thing, why would there be a different reaction? Why the big difference?
I'm sure it's the exact same ad as far as what they're for, but I just wanted to say Rick Perry is pro-education and pro-fitness.
Yes.
That is the most non-Republican thing I've ever heard in my life.
Are Republicans anti-fitness?
I don't know about the anti-fitness, but I sure hear how bad education is a lot.
Oh.
What a bad idea it is. At least higher education. What a waste. How bad.
Well, I don't know anybody that says they're anti-education.
Securing our border is Washington's responsibility, but it's Texas's problem. I recently confronted Barack Obama with detailed steps to reduce drug cartel violence along the border.
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
In the creative world of political advertising, that's the ad that Rick Perry does his Clint Eastwood. He's got that jacket on and he's walking through the wilderness with some law enforcement people. Then, of course, the other side, I don't even know what Bill White is doing. He just has his face in front of the camera. So, as usual, when it comes to imagery, and that's typically what matters most, I think you have to give it to Rick Perry.
Texas has spent $230 million for border law enforcement, technology, and aircraft. So Texas Rangers, SWAT teams, and military forces can rapidly respond to violence along our border. Until Washington gets serious, Texas will fight to make our border safe.
Securing our future, Governor Rick Perry.
Well, the timing of that's not so great since a couple people were killed last week. We think. Has anybody noticed that is the story of the guy murdered by pirates on Falcon Lake? Just keeps growing and growing. I don't know what to believe. And then a 19-year-old college freshman is killed and absolutely nothing. Zero. You'd be hard-pressed to find a blurb somewhere that a 19-year-old freshman, I believe he was shot on a bus. And the other story is national play. It's, for 3 days, it dominated the news with a blonde lady doing interviews. And look, it's terrible. Her husband may have been murdered. But in the grand scheme of how this stuff plays out, it's pretty telling, right? How to get reactions, what people react to. You found very little reaction to a 19-year-old college freshman getting murdered. But there's a ton of reaction when this lady tells this horrible story of her husband getting shot by pirates. All right, phone number is 836-0590. That's 836-0590. Toll free is 877-590-KLBJ. Texas plays Nebraska this week. And I found this pretty interesting. In Mac Brown's news conference today, he's just going through details about Nebraska. And Nebraska has a quarterback named Taylor Martinez. The guy's a freshman. He's just put up sick numbers. I mean, they're unbelievable. And Mac Brown today, this is pretty high praise. He said Taylor Martinez is doing for Nebraska what Vince Young did for Texas. Maybe. Now, Vince Young put a team on his back and won a championship. So Taylor Martinez has a ways to go. That's impressive praise. Now, granted, the guy's coming off of almost a 300-yard rushing game, so you can see why you would end up there. But to hear the Texas coach compare somebody to Vince Young or say he's doing the same thing for them that Vince Young did for Texas, maybe. He's got to win a trophy to get to the realm of what Vince Young did by carrying an entire team. Even when the chips are down, carrying a team and winning a championship. Not entirely by himself, but pretty close to it. All right, 836-0590, toll free 877-590-KLBJ. So the latest ad, it's hard to even find it right now. So I don't know how often it's run. In this very creative battle between Bill White and Rick Perry, the election you're so worked up about, the one that has you moving back and forth. You just can't make any decisions because the issues are just flying. It's one of Rick Perry, and this will be a daytime TV ad, talking about children's fitness and education. And in the ad, look, this is a smart way to do it. If you want to win, you have to do stuff like this. If you want to win over women, you do stuff like this. So he's buying time during Oprah, and he's in his workout gear and all ASIC stuff, and he's leaning over tying his shoes as if he's about to go and run, or he's just finished and his hair hasn't moved, whatever the case. And he's tying his shoes, and he's looking at you, the women of the audience, because there's no guy watching Oprah, talking about how he wants kids to be fit at a young age. I don't know if they showed his. I don't know if it's fair to say that he showed his legs or not, but he's a skinny guy, but he's in very good shape for a guy his age. He really is. So why would that be? Why would you need to be in a pair of shorts to do a television commercial if you're running for the governor? Why is that? Why would you be in workout gear? What's the point? Tying your shoes. In all ASICS gear. No Nike swoosh there. That's why I just have to give it to his team. They're just masters at imagery. I mean, if we went back, and someday when we look back on these 70 years of Rick Perry and just look at all the different outfits and all the different scenes, right? I mean, it's like, what's the costume place over there on Congress? It's like Lucy's. He's got a different costume for each ad in each environment. I mean, it is, that guy has changed environments and said nothing, and he works every time. He'll go from tying his shoes and a pair of shorts and ASICS T-shirt to looking over the border like he's Outlaw Josie Wales to the Wall Street look to what else does he have? What other role does he have? He has fitness. He's got tough guy, countryman. Oh, he's got Tea Party where he's just mad. He got a hunting hat on. And he's pissed and he's pumping his fist. Doesn't really say anything, but he's got that look. I mean, what's left? I mean, like he's gonna be in a jumpsuit fixing a car. He's gonna wheel out from underneath little wheelie things you go underneath the car, which I'm never gonna do. He's changing the oil. Hey, I know what hard work is. I change my own oil. I mean, what else could he be? He killed an animal. I mean, he combined 2 in 1. He's in his tight running pants, and he shoots an animal. So he had a hunting hat on that day and running gear. Then he's going to wear a hairnet and be cooking some food along the Gulf Coast. He's cooking shrimp. And then, of course, he hasn't even broken out the Aggie cheerleader suit yet. More evidence that it is the privileged class and then the rest of us. Now, a lot of you would be in serious trouble for good reason. Not that anyone wants to talk about insider trading or insider trading laws, but if you want to, this whole idea that people are really outraged, you're not. But this is the kind of stuff. Forget some candidate talking about fat kids. This is the kind of thing that should drive you crazy. There's a story in the Wall Street Journal, and it's reported now that 72 aides on both sides of the aisle. I know, you're real different, aren't you? Sure. 72 aides on both sides of the aisle traded shares of companies that their bosses help oversee. In other words, a few examples of this. Here's a guy that works for the Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. This guy named Chris Miller. He doubled his $3,500 stock investment in a renewable energy firm. In other words, he worked with Harry Reid to help pass legislation. What a shock. It wound up benefiting him and doubled his investment. More examples. Here is an aide to a Republican member of the Senate Banking Committee. Guess what this person did? Like others. And many of them are doing the exact same thing. See, insider trading applies to you, but it doesn't apply to them. If there's ever an area where we should crack down on insider trading, it'd be the people working with lawmakers. How much more insider can you get than that? This guy, now think about this, and there was plenty of them that did the exact same thing, but his name was just outed. All right, 72 aides did this exact same thing. He decided that it was probably a good time to buy Bank of America stock. Now, most of us would say, are you crazy? We thought the thing was going in the tank. Why would somebody do that? Well, because the bailouts were coming. Guess what? He knew it. Now, what's insider trading again? And what's it all about? Now, the point of insider trading is the simple rule in economics, and that is, in the market system, is that for every seller, there is a buyer. And so it's only a fair system if everyone has knowledge before you buy. So your investment could be going down, and these hacks who work with political hacks are making deals knowing what the laws are about to become. What's insider trading again? You get in trouble for that. And by the way, there's very few cases where the feds come after somebody for insider trading in which the feds don't win. I mean, the success ratio is incredible. But certainly it shouldn't apply to people making the laws and those close to them. Or even more sinister than that, somebody pushing a candidate to make legislation that then in turn benefits them. Just remember stuff like that when some candidate says the people are too cynical. You're not cynical enough. Angus, you're on KLBJ.
Hello?
Hello, Angus.
Hey, how's it going, Jeff?
It goes.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it. Glad you had a good time at the Eagles concert.
I did.
What I want to talk to you about
Did
was,
you go?
No, I had a chance to go, but I had other obligations. I got a last-minute call.
Have you ever seen them before in person?
One time years ago.
Wow.
It was great.
Yeah, it was my first time. And I for some reason, even though I know the band, I like the band, I have a bunch of their stuff, I just had low expectations. I just didn't think they'd sound great in a live setting, and they blew my mind.
And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go. It was outdoor, but everybody I've talked to said it was really good. But
it was.
What I called about was, it's funny on Rick Perry. He confronts Barack Obama on border security, and within 2 days, we get no funding from FEMA. Now, how's that work?
Right. Well, at one point, Rick Perry said we didn't need the feds.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden we have a flood and we have no money.
Yeah, it's the tropical storm funding, right? All of a sudden, mysteriously, Texas is cut off.
Yeah. And then we've got, his ad on Oprah. I would like to see Bill White come back with a, kind of a spoof on Rick Perry coming with their kid with a Gardasil shot. That would work.
That would be cool. That was a good. See, Bill White, man, he's got to take some risk, and he's never taken any risk except stick his big face out there, and it's not working.
With the ears. He could come at you with a shot, with a syringe, and not really have to dress up in any kind of character. Just be Bill White. I'm going to be another Rick Perry. And but earlier,
by the way, I agree with you, and I don't know. I mean, maybe Bill White doesn't want to do it, but his only chance was to do all he could to throw Rick Perry under a bus, and he hadn't done enough to pull that off.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say, but with all Rick Perry's downside, I'm going to have to hold my nose and vote for the guy, and that really, because there's who else? We're going to vote for Bill. Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's fair to say I think that's the majority, but you hear that a lot. Look, I don't fault Rick Perry's marketing strategy. In fact, it's very smart. And I don't even fault the guy for owning how Texas outpaces the rest of the country in terms of economics. I mean, that's one thing when you are the face of the state or face of the country, you sort of ride the wave, both good and bad. I don't fault him for that. I don't believe that politicians have anything to do with that at all. Well, the legacy of Brett Favre could be slightly tainted. There are a bunch of issues going on now with Brett Favre and whether or not he sent pictures of his stuff. Here's the important thing is this woman in question now who worked, what was her job for the New York Jets? Have you seen her? I mean, what is she? Well, Brett Favre is now having to answer to the NFL about text messages and pictures of himself. You do know what I mean. sent to a New York Jets employee. Jennifer, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff, when you were describing how the governor and his different ads might be wearing different outfits, it was reminding me about how girls would be playing with their Barbie and Ken and having a different outfit. So maybe, if he wanted to, support medical stuff, he'd be out there in his outfit. And the more outfits he wears, the more attention he's going to get from women.
That's right. He would be, he'd have a surgical mask on. He'd pull it down and say, I care about health.
Yes, exactly. Or if he wanted to support farming, he'd be out there with overalls and a little piece of hay sticking out of his mouth.
It may still happen. I don't know why we're laughing. He might do it. We might see him with a big straw hat on and a flannel shirt and hay sticking out of his mouth saying something so important like, I care about farming. Hey, welcome to our little show. How does this feel, taxpayer? It's reported today by the Wall Street Journal. There's insider trading and there's insider trading on steroids. Is anybody going to be prosecuted? The answer is no. The Wall Street Journal reports that 72 aides of your political heroes, these would be people making law, traded shares of companies that their bosses helped oversee. 3,000 disclosure forms covering trading activity by Capitol Hill staffers over the last 2 years. Among those outed, here's a guy who helped craft legislation for the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, and he doubled his $3,500 investment in renewable energy, well, because a new renewable energy bill passed. Now, that's not a lot, but it would get you in trouble. Not to be outdone, some other staffers. Here's one, an aide to a Republican member of the Senate Banking Committee. Decided to go ahead and buy some Bank of America stock. Whoa. Guess what happens next? There is a stimulus program launched. Oh, well. Get in low, right? Is that an advantage? Is that fair? Is that a fair economic system right there? By the way, insider trading is supposed to be about what? Total disclosure? Should that not apply to people who are in the process of making a law? No, they're not in trouble. It's technically not illegal. See, now you know why sometimes I suggest that the pay of those, even though they get to vote on it themselves, of anyone in office should be cut by 50%. And you'll note how nobody will quit because there's a lot more to it than just that salary. Heck, cut the salary by 75% and no one will quit. Heck, the salary is just gravy on top of the other insider things you get to do to make money and make your friends money. And that's disgusting. For all the people out there that get worked up about stuff about what your neighbor is doing and kids on steroids, this is the kind of thing that sets you on fire because you would be thrown in jail. As well you should. All right, the phone numbers, you will need them, 836-0590. That's 836-0590. Toll free is 877-590-KLBJ. Can you listen online? More than likely, yes. Go to 590KLBJ.com. Click on the OLS chat box, whatever that is. You will see some preppy pictures, and you are in. If you'd like to download the show, that's possible. Go to 590KLBJ.com. There was a podcast there, and more than likely it is free. You can also download the show via iTunes, and I'm told on your iPhone as well. And who knows, somewhere, somehow, there's a phone app out there. You would do it for $1 million. A fat guy did it. And I don't know if he's collected yet, but a billionaire, and I think he's Russian, has some online security camera business of some kind. Well, he paid a guy $1 million. Guy hired a lawyer to set up the transaction. And there is a picture on our website. And the picture on our website, it's pretty funny. There's a cop. This cop, also very fat, covering his package with a Vote 2010 sign.
The women
God love them because they're stupid, and the men, sorry. I have no use for either of them, so good luck to them.
You're listening to Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ. Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
I'm doing the show live. When is this? 2 weeks from now? This Thursday? A week from this Thursday. This is what happens when you never go to a meeting. And I'm supposed to tell you that we're giving away tickets to the live show, but I don't know when, and I'm not quite sure how. But it was suggested that I tell you that that flimsy information I just provided needed to be out there. There. Wait, Ward, you're doing a what? Doing a live show, yes. How do I go? I don't know. When is it exactly? Well, that we do know, a week from Thursday. How's that? That should pretty well close that deal. Glad to know it. Your Dallas Cowboys. Oops. Oh, well. Remember that giddy feeling when they were left for dead and they were going on the road against the powerful Houston Texans? The Texans were making a statement. They're going to make it. Well, we've just learned a lot about both of them. Forget it. Your Dallas Cowboys are now 1-3. They lose at home to the Tennessee Titans, and they do it in typical Wade Phillips coached Cowboys fashion. Stupidity. Oh, they're pretty good. They have talent, and they're really stupid. See, when they beat the Texans, they didn't do as many stupid things. But in the other 3 games that they've lost, including an offensive lineman dancing to get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, well, it's just more icing on the cake, a team that can't get out of the way of itself. The Texans, on the other hand, have just fallen back to mediocrity. The Cowboys are just a personality train wreck. So, at 1-3, are they dead again? No, not quite, but we're getting closer. Getting a lot closer. And the thing is, for Wade Phillips, and whatever his lifespan is going to be as the Cowboys coach, and it's probably not going to be much past this year, it's not just losing, it's the idiotic way of losing. This is not a team that, just looks up and somebody says, oh, well, the better team won today. They got pushed around. They're not quite there, blah, blah, blah. No, they're a team that they have these colossal meltdowns. Meltdowns that go straight to the top, straight to the coach, whoever the coach may be. They have no control over that team. These guys are supposed to be pros, but they do the dumbest things. I mean, you thought the Texas-Oklahoma game was full of stupid things. You wouldn't think pros would do that. Yeah, they do. The Cowboys do it. Their screw-ups are, and they, at times, Tony Romo is playing pretty well. For once, you can't blame him, except for one of the losses. It's every week they find a new stupid thing to do that just makes people furious. For all the criticism they're getting and people making fun of them, it's deserved. The problem people are going to have is you proved how good you can be against the Texans when you're not stupid. And so now people understand, really, you're better than most people you play. You just go crazy. All right, 836-0590, toll-free 877-590-KLBJ. You would do it for $1 million. I assume you would. I have no way to back this up, but somebody offers you $1 million to streak in front of the president or streak anywhere for that matter. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say 6 out of 10 adult men say yes. And I think you say yes immediately. Now, this guy who did this, and his picture's on our website, and you really like to look at it for some reason, he had a lawyer drop the papers to make sure he would get the money. He notified reporters in the area that he was going to do it, and they caught it on film. No harm really done. He's just a chubby guy running around naked. So I think 6. I'm I'm not going to believe that all of you would do it, but I think a majority of men would do it. I don't believe a majority of women would do this. For $1 million, I don't think one out of 10 adult women would streak for $1 million. Now they're streaking, then of course they're streaking in front of the president. But what if you cracked a joke about that fat guy? We'd be offended, but we can't see anything because your belly is hanging over. Now, let me tell you people about obesity and the problems it's creating. This is what my health care would prevent. That fat, naked guy right there. Turn around, sir. Nobody can see anything. Your belly is hanging down. That's why I've been talking about health care legislation. That man right there, the naked guy. Jerry, you're on KLBJ.
Jeff Ward.
Hello, Jerry.
Jeff.
Jerry.
Man, I am so tired of the Cowboys with this meltdown, man. Dude, they have so much talent.
Yep.
No leadership. Have you ever seen Wade Phillips get in a player's face or talk to anybody? He doesn't say anything, dude.
All I ever hear Wade Phillips say is, after the fact, he says, I wish I would have done this, or I should have done that. I mean, I'm thinking, do you even have headphones on, sir? What is it you do during the game?
Honestly, I think he's watching MTV during the game, man. Dude, he is not coaching these people, man. I'm telling you, he has no respect in the locker room. You know, Jason Garrett, he's another one. You never see him talking. Nobody talks, man.
Right.
Dude, they got all that talent, and they're blowing it. Romo is not a bad quarterback, man.
He's really, he's not playing. I mean, I fault him for the loss against the Redskins. I think part of that was on him and part on Wade Phillips, that stupid call at the end of the half. But by and large, since then, Tony Romo's played pretty well. And this offensive line, I mean, their offensive line sucks anyway. The last person that should be dancing for the Dallas Cowboys is an offensive lineman. They suck.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was at that game. I actually went to that game yesterday. Took a party bus down there, had a good time. We watched the game, and I had some numbers on the fourth quarter, and I actually could have won some money on that. They didn't. They just could not. They can't get it done, man.
Nope. They can't close the deal. They can't not get out of the way of themselves.
Just terrible, man. Jeff, that's all I got to say, man. Good to talk to you, man. Brother, have a good weekend.
Yep. They deserve all the heat. They deserve it. I mean, especially some stupid offensive lineman dancing around like you've just won the Super Bowl. No, buddy, you haven't. You really haven't done anything. Tim, you're on KLBJ.
Yeah, Jeff, I think you might be mistaken about the number of guys that would streak for $1 million, because you could stand the chance, I think, of winding up on the sex offender database.
For streaking?
Yeah, indecent exposure. I mean, if, there are minors who see that, they're little kids there, yeah, you've just, pretty sure.
Well, I mean, okay, you might be right. I still think so.
And $1 million just might not be enough for a lifetime of that, maybe $10 million.
Well,
anyway,
that's fine, but I'm not sure. I still think 6 out of 10 people take the money with no regard for what you just said. I mean, you may be right. I mean, you may be preaching common sense, and I've admitted I don't know what the legalities of this would be, and I don't know if he can collect or not. He says he had a lawyer to make sure he could get this money from this guy. You can't take it all in cash. This guy can't send it from overseas, although he promised the guy cash. You maybe you're right. Maybe you do go on the sex offender list. I just think 6 out of 10 adult men, when approached with $1 million to streak, I think they do it. Women don't do it. All right, it is George. You're on KLBJ. Hey, George.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, George.
Yeah, hey, listen, man, I just headed down 620 here. I see this guy with an A&M banner, and popped a question in my mind. Can that Aggie Bennett, can he catch the ball at all?
He had a little period there where it looked like he was going to turn the corner. I don't know what happened. I think that stupidity with the Cowboys is contagious. Actually, he can. Joe, you're on KLBJ.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Joe.
I think that streaking for $1 million, yes, that's for me. It probably, I don't know if they could call that streaking at my age and weight, but I could certainly give it a try.
Yeah, this guy. Hey, look, this guy didn't make it very far, and he didn't look too fit, but he got it. Man, he did it. He got naked. Let's put it that way.
I told my wife I did. She goes, they'd call that sauntering. The Cowboys. I think the difference between Wade Phillips and Mike Singletary, you can see that pretty clear. You know, Mike Singletary last night, his quarterback's having a meltdown. The fans are going crazy, wanting him out of the game. And Mike Singletary stands him over there on the sideline and rips him from one end to the other and sends him back in, and he almost wins the game for him. And so, you know, obviously he's a motivator.
If they could, you're right. I mean, if they could just like have Mike Singletary be consultant for about 2 hours a week, just to slap a few guys around. I mean, especially some fat offensive lineman dancing like he's just won the Super Bowl. That guy, if somebody doesn't get in his face, he should be fined senseless.
Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
We're always going to disagree when it comes to judging art. And this one I don't see. Just read a review of last night's Eagles concert at ACL, which I thought was fantastic. I don't know how you could come away with this. The Houston Chronicle review, person that had been at ACL all weekend, said that the sound was bad. What? Where were you, buddy? Where were you standing? I mean, there might be areas I would disagree. There might be. Anyway, was at that show. I think one of the things you don't say about that is the sound was bad. Are you kidding? I mean, it was maybe not quite studio quality, but I thought it was amazingly good. I thought the show itself was incredible. So he just he ripped the show. Now, he argued that it was a lot like the show that they put on in Houston. That may be true. I mean, I don't know what their set was like, but that's not fair. You know, it's a show in Austin at ACL, and it's outdoors, and the sound was incredible, I thought. In fact, that's, 2 songs in. I think a lot of people that I was around, and there's how many, 50,000 people there, maybe more, on a perfect night? I think most people said, wow, that sounds great. They sound great. They don't move around a whole lot, but they don't have to. The light show itself was amazing. And even people who aren't Eagles fans, I thought, came away saying, man, that's a big show. But he ripped it. He just said the sound was bad. He said the volume was too low. What? What? The volume was too low? Now, the sound ordinance, because they started right at 8, it ended right at 10. I mean, it was 10 on the nose. They come back to do Desperado, and I can't even remember after that. And then they're done, right at 10, which, of course, the sound ordinance kicks in, doesn't it? But the volume was not too low. You got to be kidding, buddy. I don't know where you were standing. I mean, you, where are you? On Man Shack or something? If you were within, I don't know, how deep was the crowd? Let's say, what do you think? Half a mile? No. That big? If you were within that, the sound was great. I mean, I couldn't believe how, first of all, I thought the show was great. The variety was great. Turning Joe Walsh loose was great. But the quality of the production itself was about as good as you can get, wasn't it? You concert experts, am I missing something here? This guy ripped them. Jeannie, you're on KLBJ.
Hi, Jeff. Good to hear you.
Hey.
Listen, before I get to my comment, I want to say Melinda Brandt is like one of the hardest working women in radio. And I had off today. I've been listening to this morning. She's been there all day.
I know.
I admire all of you guys. I didn't realize that some of them stay there all day long. It's unbelievable. I hope she's getting paid well. So, anywho, I'm glad to hear you're a little rock and roll because I know you're kind of conservative and you went to see the Eagles. Exciting.
I sense some sarcasm there. Now, wait a minute here. I'm a guy who likes AC/DC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, my God. That's my deal. Where do you think all the music for the show comes from?
Oh, I know. I'm glad. Chris Cornell, you have him also. So I'm really glad.
Is it bad that I thought the Eagles put on a good show?
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad to see you're very well-rounded. You know, you're conservative, you're intelligent, and you're rock and roll, so I love that.
Okay.
But I called to tell you that I'm voting for Bill White. One of the volunteers, the little boy came knocking on the door. My husband shooed him away, and I ran after him to let him know that, hey, Bill White doesn't have a chance in hell winning. And, you know, we went on and on and on. Anyway, we ended up talking for about an hour. And I'm from Galveston originally, so, you know, he convinced me. I'm going to vote for Bill White, and I think it's dangerous to have somebody like Rick Perry in office. I think it's dangerous for anybody to be in office that long.
Well,
that many years.
Yeah.
It breeds corruption. And didn't you say a couple of weeks ago, I was listening to you, that there were grants given out to certain companies that it was like 1% to 3%?
Well, yeah, it was this engine. It was what was it called? The Emerging Fund or something like that goes to technology funds, and it turns out a pretty large percentage of those turn around and give money back.
Exactly. That made me nervous, and I thought, you know what? It's not only that. I'm not saying he's such a horrible governor. I have called the governor's office several times about issues, and of course, I never get through to him. They always say he's not available. But and I'm probably on a list already that, you know, people who call like that. But I don't know. I just think that I'm going to give somebody else a chance. I know he hasn't exposed his record, his IRS records. I believe they're waiting on or something. But I mean, come on, man. I just think that I want to go with somebody different right now, and I'm campaigning for him.
Would you streak for $1 million?
You know, I heard that earlier. Hell no, that's not enough money because of legal fees. You'd be arrested, and that's federal. That's not worth it. I mean,
Wait, I thought, aren't you the person who went topless down Congress?
Yeah, but it was legal.
Yeah.
You can do it, and it was no problem. And, you know, but
Do
no.
you think I'm right that 6 out of 10 adult men would take the money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, listen, I'll let you go.
Okay.
Have a great show, and hey, where's your show going to be? You're free.
I don't even know.
Oh, man, you don't know if it's going to be at Alamo Draft House again?
No, well, that's later. I think I don't know what's going on next week. I'm supposed to come up with an answer pretty soon, so I apologize. I don't even know why I was told to say anything. Just Thomas felt like just yelling in my ear, tell people you're doing the show live. Okay, and I know nothing more. Nothing more. Teresa, you're on KLBJ.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey.
I was at the Eagle show, too. I totally agree with you. I was in 3 different places. I was getting there. I walked up a little bit late, so I started in the very back.
Yep.
And I could hear great, better than any show out there the whole weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was the first thing that stood out to me. Within 5 minutes, I turned to somebody and I said, wow, that's clear. Now, I was pretty close, I guess. I had my face duct taped to a speaker. But, I mean, I get it how if you get far enough back in the park, it's not the best. But, I mean, this guy, he apparently he wrote a review of the entire weekend. And I don't know what he did like or didn't like. I mean, I was there a lot of the weekend. I found the variety pretty amazing. It's not what people think. It's not just a bunch of indie rock bands. It's not that at all. But I think it's a ridiculous criticism. You may not like the Eagles songs. You may not like the writing. I don't know what your beef would be, but the last thing you could do for an outside concert is to criticize the sound of that show.
I'm from Austin, but I live in New York. Oh, I totally podcast you. Maybe I'm just a freak, I guess.
You're listening to Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ. Jeff Ward on News Radio 590 KLBJ.
Well, if you watch Monday Night Football, it will be, I'm not sure if it'll be the biggest story because nobody knows, and I think people are embarrassed to talk about it. But Brett Favre is not an interesting position. You talked about potentially the sort of end of a legacy. What a way to go out. It's really pretty confusing. So he's being accused by a former employee of the New York Jets, What was her job, by the way? Because, sorry, with all due respect, she's about 23 with a spray-on tan and ridiculous augmentation. What was her job? Everybody just says an employee with the New York Jets. She's a model. What is her job? It doesn't excuse Brett Favre of sexting her and sending pictures of his stuff. Now, 2 massage therapists have come forward and said that he had been sexting them too. So, don't know if the women came forward or how exactly this came out, but this puts the commissioner of the NFL in an interesting position because he has a personal conduct policy, right? And whether you've been charged with a crime or not, he has the power to view your behavior as detrimental to the image of the game. And if he views it that way, he can suspend you. Imagine the final year of his entire career, he's suspended for sending pictures of his package. And it may happen. Now, I don't know what to make of these women or what their issues are. I mean, does it really matter if he sent the text and the pictures? That's it. And by the way, look out for Mrs. Favre. It might be a rough final 3 months for Brett. If he didn't look 70 years old already, wait until the missus and these other co-eds get a hold of him legally, not to mention the commissioner. That would just be a bizarre, pathetic way to end a career. I don't know if they're gold diggers or not. Don't know. I mean, if he's out sending a picture of his stuff, he's over the top. Was she sending pictures back to him? I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. I mean, if she was, does that change the game entirely? I mean, I would think so. So you remember there's a coach for the Tennessee Titans just fined for flipping off the crowd. He's in trouble. Imagine if the legendary Brett Favre is outed by 3 different women, including massage therapists, for regularly sending pictures of his stuff. Allegedly. He's apologized. See, the reason why it's a big deal now is, and this could be why the women have come forward, but you don't have to judge. They have a big Monday night game tonight. So the question is, how much does the broadcast team talk about it? I mean, it's just, you're going to watch a bunch of guys get very uncomfortable in a hurry. I just don't know what her job was. An employee of the Jets. Have you seen her? I'm pretty certain she's not coaching special teams or she's not a cheerleader, I don't think. I don't know what her job is. But she's very bronze. She's very bronze. Sideline reporter. Sideline reporter, yes. Sideline. I knew Ed would know. I figured that. I had a feeling that he might have an idea of everything about her. Well, the old man, she says, have been sending him pictures. So, guy's a granddad. He's a grandfather. I mean, there's so many bad jokes that are going to come with this. You know, massage therapist? What? Now, why did they come forward now? Good question. Where does it go? It could go a lot of directions, and it could be bad. You know, he put the commissioner who opened this whole thing up about, I want to clean up the image of this game, and I want the power to do so, even if you haven't committed a crime. And so the players agreed to it. They basically made him dean of the NFL players, that he can do whatever he wants if he views their conduct to be so bad. Imagine mid-season, you have to sit down with a future Hall of Famer. In a lot of ways, the face of the league. An old wrinkled face, but a face. and you say, listen, I'm going to suspend you for 4 games for sending out pictures of your lower half. I mean, what the heck? And then Mrs. Favre comes in, and that guy's going to look 80 by the time November rolls around. John, you're on KLBJ.
Hey, Jeff, great show.
Thanks, John.
Point I wanted to make is, first of all, this shouldn't have even made the headlines because this is a dead issue. If these women were offended, they should have been offended when it happened, not 2 years, a year later, and all of a sudden, they're hurt, they're emotionally disturbed, or God knows whatever else. This should just be a dead issue. It's just an attention grab, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're probably right. I don't know why it took a year. I don't know why it took a year and a half. But either way, I mean, you can think they are publicity hounds or gold diggers or any number of things, but it's not going to hide the fact that it's now going to be out there. The commissioner's going to be stuck dealing with a future Hall of Famer who apparently sent out a lot of pictures and text messages of his stuff. I mean, even if they are gold diggers, and you can call them that, if he did do it, the commissioner's going to have to deal with it now that it's public.
Well, he didn't break any laws.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right.
That's something between him and his wife and the women. No one knows what the context was or why he did that. Maybe, they're sexting or whatever it is, pictures back and forth. Maybe they, these women were probably also flirting with him. So, I mean, is that right? Is that wrong? Well, that's between the two of them.
Well, I would agree with you, assuming that's the case. But we don't know yet. I don't know if she's claiming harassment. If so, why a year later were you harassed? Was she a part of it? It doesn't sound like she was.